this thing here. So. How you doing, guys? No.
So what's just the sense coming off another bye, obviously 3 games left, stuff to play for?
Sure, absolutely a lot to play for, right? And Coach Smith has talked to the guys. We really want to be playing our best ball in November, right? And I just said this to the rush ends, right? We talk all the time about being our best at the end. Well, that's the end of a drive, right? That's third down, right? Red zone, goal line, being at our best at the end of those drives. Let's be at the best at the end of the half, 2-minute things, 4-minute, right? But that also builds into being our best at the end of the season, right? Be building, right? Be continually on the rise. So that's been a big emphasis for us of really, like I said, trying to be at our best here as we close out November because there is a lot to play for. Right, these next 3 games are going to be tough. They're going to be competitive. Welcome to the Big Ten. I mean, you look at the Big Ten, right? There's a couple of teams at the top, and there's a lot of teams right there, like 4-5, 5-5, right? 6-4, right? So, 5-4, like they're all 2-2 in the league, or 2-3 in the league, 4-2. Like there's a bunch of us right group there together, and we got to go be our best here to try to start to separate ourselves.
What do you obviously the sacks haven't come BC.
Yeah.
So what do you? I mean, I guess is there any reason overall for it? And what do you guys got to do to create more pressure?
Yeah, we absolutely do have to create some more pressure. We know that been lacking here a little bit on that, and that's been a challenge for our guys. One that goes back to individual just techniques, right? That goes back to our takeoffs. That goes to our pass rush plans. We talked about that with BC with Castellanos. So that there's going to be every week has a unique pass rush plan. Well, the guy this week has a unique pass rush plan, right? Like we're building that every week. Again, regardless of who the quarterback is. So, right, we've got, I think, a good plan for how we want to put that together to be able to attack this quarterback. And we had the same plan for Iowa. We had the same, a unique plan for Iowa, a unique plan for Michigan, a unique plan. And sometimes it results in the sacks that you want. Sometimes it's just about, right, what's the pocket presence? What's the pocket integrity? What's his comfort? And so sometimes we ask the guys that, hey, this may not be a play where we're looking to get a sack on. Or if we get a sack, it's going to be a grown man, blue collar sack. Hey, this is a 3-man rush sack, right? Or hey, this is a 6-man blitz sack. Like which one is that? So obviously the 6-man blitz is a little easier to get them. 3-man rushes, and when we mix those in, so we know sometimes it's more about the pocket, the coverage, right? The presentation we're giving to the quarterback to harass the quarterback. Sometimes it's what's the changing windows in the coverage that he's not expecting. He just says, let's get that out of here.
So. Chad, last time you guys came out of the bye week, maybe played your best 3-phase game against Iowa. When you look back, like what was sort of the key to coming out of that and doing that, and how do you replicate that obviously this time?
Sure. One of the things always after the bye is get guys healthy, right? And I think we've been able to do that and get guys healthy. So you're working to be at your best. So you got your best players out there. 2, right? One, is also the extra preparation time, right? To be able to study them. Now Illinois is a unique situation because they're also on the bye week too. Last time against Iowa, they were coming off of a game, and so we were able to steal time against them. Illinois is in a unique situation, but I still think it does give you the extra time to prepare, and then getting the guys to go execute and practice, which we all know practice relates to performance in the game. So I mean, Dan Campbell even talked about that last week in his. They ran a 2-minute drive, and the kicker right in the 2-minute on Thursday made the kick, right, and he had confidence in the kid to go make the kick right in the game. So, right, you're hopefully executing cleaner and just the added repetition from practice.
Gotcha. How important is it to get the pressure and all the injuries that you had in the secondary too?
Yeah, absolutely. Right, you can't let this guy sit here and hold it. So, but we're gonna, every week look at those things. What are the things we need to do to create that pressure? But also, how can we change windows? So, right, and combining and mixing. Man, we're gonna pressure this. We're gonna work this. Hey, but we're gonna also now show the pressure presentations and play out of it. So, but yeah, there is definitely some stuff we've got to be ready to go attack here, and that pass rush. But it doesn't matter who, you're sitting out there playing with Richard Sherman and all those guys, or you're sitting here playing with high school guys, right? Like the pressure still matters.
Specifically for anything that you guys took from maybe what Indiana was able to do to you guys, pressure-wise, maybe some stuff that you made?
Those are probably more off-season stuff. Like off-season studies. At this point, your system is your system, and you got to be able to help the guys go execute. You got to play within the system. Now, there's going to be every week, right? How can we work this system, this call, this this scheme to put our guys in the best position to execute? But yeah, those are going to probably schematically, right? You're in your system now at this point. You start tossing around too much, right? The execution level is going to go down because the things guys aren't really confident in.
What do you think are the biggest things that Illinois does that will challenge your guys?
Yeah, well, it starts with the head coach, right? Coach Bielema is a great head coach, a lot of experience, and he's had a lot of success. He's extremely smart. And you see his philosophy filtering down to the staff. They've got some continuity within their staff, right? Barry Lunny's been there for a long time with him now for multiple years. You see, Bart Miller, the O-line coach, has been with him for multiple years, right? You see the running backs coach, Coach Ward in there for multiple years. Coach Diss, your special teams and tight ends, right? Multiple years. The only new guy is, Justin Stepp. But Justin Stepp and Coach Lunny were together at Arkansas back, late 2018-19. So he's got continuity within the staff now that he's, building. So I think that is the first thing, is you just see there's a scheme and a system that they're operating in. And like them, like us, every year, your personnel dictates what your system can do and what you're working on. So I think there's just a program philosophy of who they want to be, which you see beginning again with the head coach. But then after that, quarterback, veteran guy, experienced receivers outside, some guys on the interior O-line, right, that have been there a bunch, right? A couple of new transfers come in that have played well. Tight ends, right, got some experience, right, running back. Like they know who they are and they play to that. So we've got to do a good job of defending that, but also being understanding of they're always going to have their stuff that they're, wrinkles that they're pulling out. So, long-winded answer, the short version is they know who they are and they know what they want to do, and they do it very well because there's a lot of consistency and continuity in it. So we've got to go defend that, and then the guys' rules play to the unique things.
Seems like they are throwing it maybe more than you expect from a Bielema team.
Yeah,
Does that
yeah.
give you guys more opportunities to,
Sure.
more focus to put up the pass rush, more opportunities, obviously?
Yep. It begins with our RPO game on base downs, right? Some of those passing numbers come out of that, those RPO passes, which veteran quarterback, done these reads a lot. He knows those pictures. They got talented receivers on the outside, that they're throwing the ball to. So I think that shows up. But then it does show up on the third down as well. And, so we got to be ready to go get after them and as we get them into those longer yardage situations for sure.
Obviously, the Indiana game didn't go how you wanted to, but is there a
Yeah.
little bit of, like, some of the guys you knew there, you talk to anybody after the game?
Oh yeah, I saw a bunch of them before, saw a bunch of them after. Relationships, right? This profession, a lot of people forget. All the competitiveness that we all have, it still comes down to relationships. And so there's a lot of relationships on that other sideline with players and some of the support staff. A lot of the coaches were new, but so yeah, there was some bittersweet feelings to that one. How that one, it would have felt good for that thing to go differently.
Where do you think you guys are at from a depth standpoint? I mean, do you think you guys are, going forward, have built enough depth to kind of sustain things?
Yeah, that's the one good thing. The system staying in place and not getting too new. How do we get those guys to go execute well? Well, when some guys have to get into the next man up situation, that they're doing the things that they've done over and over and over a bunch. So that's been able to help us build some depth, and that's where we are, though. But I think everybody in America is at that point. Who's lost this D tackle? Who's lost that offensive lineman? Who's lost that running back? Everybody in America is dealing with it somewhere. And so, at this point in the season, when you're sitting here 3 games left, that Power 5 football, there's going to be some guys that are beat up, and next man up is going to have to go respond to the challenge. And we're no different than anybody else in the country, I think, in that.
Is there any specific underclassmen that's kind of maybe developed, faster than anybody else, or has kind of
No, I think it's kind of what we anticipated. And I think as you look at the reps, of who's shown up in the games, I think that'll obviously reflect that pretty clearly. Yeah.
Changing gears here, Chad. Just talk to me a little bit about Sam Edwards and the impact he's really had on this locker room.
Yeah.
And on the team on
Yeah, you talk about one of the all-time great kids. I mean, just talking about Sam and who he is, one, willingness to do anything because he loves the place and he loves the other guys in the locker room so much that he'll do anything that we ask of him. So, he's one of those guys you love his heart, you love his attitude, you love his work ethic, you love the example he sets. But even as a walk-on guy, a guy that has really earned a lot of respect in that locker room to be able to share his voice, right, and have his voice be heard, right, in a meaningful way. That goes back to his process and, one, his commitment, but two, again, his work ethic and willingness to do whatever's asked. People, guys in the locker room really respect that of him.
Does some of the RPO stuff you guys saw against Indiana prepare you a little bit?
It certainly does. Yeah, it certainly does. You certainly see some similarities and run schemes and the pass schemes and the concepts off of that. So there's definitely some, good carryover week to week on, for the guys of, okay, now, and you can come out of the Indiana game and also be able to say, okay, hey, we didn't do this quite right, or, right, we could tweak this, right, schematically a little different, or, guys' eyes, or whatever those things are, and how they can react and play those a little bit better. So, it does help have a little video evidence of it and to be able to teach correct, right, and make some improvements off of it.
Jonathan said you guys were emphasizing kind of the fundamentals of kind of a four-man pass rush this past week.
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah.
what does that look like in practice?
Yeah, it goes back to a lot of technique, but then also guys understand that four guys don't just rush as individuals, right? It's not that way. It's four as one. So, right, if we're not protecting an edge here, right, creating an escape lane, if we're over-exaggerating this movement, we don't have the balance off of it. So, right, those four guys have to understand, right, they don't just rush to beat my man, right? I have to rush to work together on the quarterback. So, just really, yes, the fundamental technique, but also the awareness of them working together to keep this quarterback hemmed in, but also create the pressure sacks as they go finish it too.
Does Gillison, the guy, think we could see this year yet, or is he?
Still working through some stuff. Yeah, we've got high hopes for him, but that early season stuff, right, is kind of dragging on him a little bit.
Also wanted to ask Hawk yesterday, just when you have the bye week, get a little more time for recruiting stuff.
Yeah.
Thinking that way. You've been around the Big Ten, so you've seen Michigan State at higher and lower points.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering, when you go out now, what are sort of the conversations like? What are the dialogue? What is the curiosity about Michigan State?
Sure. Right. I think there is still a brand recognition, as you look at, young, because really we're talking about, 16, 17-year-old, young men. I think there is still brand recognition, which that obviously matters. I think as you look in this changing landscape of college football recruiting, right, Michigan State's a place positioned well to be able to handle that. But at the end of the day, right, you're always looking for your guys, right? What are the things that we value and their wiring, right, and the academic discipline and investment that those young men, right, the character that they have. So, right, a lot of those things go into it that maybe people on the external don't understand, right? Why are we not recruiting this guy? Well, maybe there's something off in his wiring or his academics or his character. Or why did we value this guy higher? Well, we valued something in his wiring, in his academics, in his character higher than maybe what people understand and how we think that that's going to relate to their long-term success and that internal makeup.
Does Smith put more of an emphasis on that maybe than other coaches you work for?
In some ways, yeah, and every head coach is unique and different, right? And everybody would maybe say it differently or voice and vocalize it differently, but that he has a unique thing of, again, that he values and is looking towards. So, and I think we as a staff understand that and have been able to. He's brought a lot of his guys with him, so there's a lot of them. But I think some of the newer guys, Hawkins, myself, Coach Rossi on the staff, been in places where similar things are valued. So it's not difficult to find and it's filtered through those young men. Yeah.